The phone's right by the speaker, so if you can't hear me, we got problems. Yeah, you guys see my mess pile because that's what. Anywho, okay, the mail at 626 South Cherokee in Muskogee, Oklahoma, where the injustice is served. Okay, um, should have been because of he stated one day when it was just me and him, and stated that you'll lose your mind if you care for those kids. Okay, alone. Well, for the past 10 years, he stated he was caring for them alone, that his wife was so drugged down that she wasn't really doing it. Okay, so in a way, he lost his brain. But towards when I walked in, when I came into the picture, his wife, all she did was get drugged up and sleep. He would have to yell at her to get her to do anything. Okay, um, and at the same time, she would have to basically blackmail him into doing anything. The connection there when he stayed like what he did with me, okay, he stated that he still loved his wife. No, the bond was already broken. It is a proven fact that if you tell yourself for more than over a year, like he had prior to that, because I was buying pot from him, okay, and he stated his wife was nothing but a wreck and that he didn't love her, blah, 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 because of whatever reasons, I don't know and I don't care at this point. But in the eyes of the court, all that can be used, okay, against him because of the fact those words and at the same time his actions, Dave and Donnie, would state otherwise because of the fact they were there when I had to care for those kids, clean that house, cook dinner, and feed baby girl. Okay, they're her Mickey button. When this man chose to neglect those kids, and then at the same time chose to break the bond of a father and a daughter through humiliation. She was already showing signs of basically the bond being broken because she was the only man that was actually showing common interest in the kids at the time was Dave. And she was sitting on his lap, inching her way closer and closer to a man that was actually showing interest in what she was doing, what the kids were doing, just like I was. That's the signs that that child has to be taken out of the home. And those were the signs that, if the cop wouldn't have told me to shut the F up, would have been told at the same time. And then he chose to walk around with no pants on. That's lewd acts on a child. It does not have to be touched. It does not have to have penetration. It does not have to have molestation. That is still lewd acts on a child because he is showing his genitalia to a minor and stating it's okay, making them believe it's okay. But without a doctor's statement, it's not okay. Okay? My ending argument on my lawyer would state every one of us had to learn through our parents how when we wanted a bottle and a diaper that we had to have it changed, okay? Melina was still in the process of being taught, bringing her a diaper, bringing her a bottle to us. But she would do that with me. The men there would not do that because that's what I taught her. But they wouldn't do that with her. They just get mad at her and yell at her. No, it's a give or take when you're a parent. Especially with a child that has no voice. He should understand that 13 years, 20-something freaking years. Yeah, I don't want to hear, I don't want nothing. There's no sense to have that done. And he already has one charge of child neglect because she wasn't properly in a child seat. And she was probably under the age of, maybe, she was maybe 5. So yeah, he knew she had to be in a car seat. So it started then. The spiraling of the breaking the bond of that child and that father. The abuse between that child and that father. And my ending argument would be, we had to, Our parents had to change our diapers and give us a bottle. And they chose not to humiliate us. Why? Because they loved us at all costs. They would die for us, okay? They would take the humiliation if they could. But sometimes they just can't, okay? But they would. Because they don't want to see their child hurt. They don't want to see their child cry. But they can't, because that's a learning process for us as children, as adults, okay? And this man chose to neglect that to his 13-year-old child, who, yes, may not have a voice, but yes, has shown and comprehended what this man was doing. Tiny little actions stated otherwise. So I want the jury of Muskogee, if we were in court, okay, because of the fact he could be convicted. Okay? That's the state of Oklahoma. Actually, the state of Muskogee County. Really, that's all that matters. Right? Right. Okay? And he could be charged with this. With enough signatures, I probably could get him charged. But there's just statute of limitations, like I said. And I'm willing to do whatever, because you do not do that. Knowing I had a past and I basically had that done to me, and you still chose to do it. You still chose to harm that child and harm another individual that was doing right by you, care for you like you wanted and stated you wanted when you guys sat on those swings. Loved those kids like you wanted. Interacted with those kids like you wanted. But yet it was not yet good enough because of your narcissism that is in your body. A true narcissist, it's their way or the highway. Nothing else. And that's what that man really wanted. And he's actually living free, unscathed, unharmed mentally either. Having fun, living it up. Isn't that kind of pathetic?